Welcome back to the Smite Pro League. Again, we're in North America today. Finch and Taco with you on the desk. And we just saw an excellent set just happen there between E United and Trifecta, Taco. E United still trying to find their first win.
You say excellent, but I feel like it was a little bit more of a tragedy there for E United, and that's only going to keep pushing them further and further in the standings. Just a rather unfortunate series of events for them here today against Trifecta.
Yeah, the only team with 3 matches that they've played so far with 3 losses as well, but it's a long split. Everyone's going to be playing each other twice. It is a double round robin, so United will have a chance to regroup and make sure that they get back to the correct point where they feel like they should be. Trifecta, on the other hand, found their first win, so they're looking good, but the next matchup we see, kind of the exact opposite. If last one was the teams looking for their first win, someone here in this set between CLG as well as Spacestation Gaming, they're going to get their first loss.
Somebody's going to have to take the first L, and no one wants to be the one to do it.
Right.
Particularly for CLG, though. They have come out looking really hot so far in Season 5, and CLG as well has just been doing a fantastic job, I think, really coordinating all together. Snoopy in particular, I think, has really made some standout performances in their sets so far. I also believe that Hurriwind and Homiefe have been synergizing quite well together in order to make sure that these sets can come out with victories.
Yeah, and people forget this core of this team is really that old SOAR roster that was so dominant for a while there, Taco. So yes, this is certainly a roster that shouldn't be a surprise that they're doing so well. And in particular, like you said, Homiefe in the jungle for this team. I mean, he's looked so strong for them. This feels like Season 5 in particular is a jungler's meta, and there's no one that you'd want better for that one than Homiefe in the jungle. I mean, playing assassins, able to be the one that's putting on all the pressure. This feels like Homie's time.
This feels like the worst time possible to get hiccups, by the way. But again, this is really Homiefe's time to shine. I mean, jungle has been such an important role already in Season 5. It's apparent that if your jungle is on point, typically the rest of the set is going to go in your favor as well. And especially when you look at the synergy between Homiefe and Hurriwind, these guys have just done a fantastic job really working and building off of each other, and that's probably the most important part. It just feels as though they really feed into each other.
It really does feel that way, and it feels like not only do they have 5 all-stars in every role. I mean, Snoopy in the hunter role for them, Hurriwind in the mid lane, I mean, Homie in the jungle. Everyone in the team feels like is so strong in their respective roles. But then, like you said, then their communication is so on point. Them feeding off of one another and playing together as a team is really strong. And we're going to see if Space Station can keep up with them. If Space Station can be the ones to finally come up with an answer to this roster. And I think there's a good chance for these hometown heroes to do it.
Well, I think another advantage that CLG kind of has is that Hurriwind and Homiefe have worked with each other before in the past, but in the case of Baskin and andinster, this is kind of the first time actively working together. They've known of each other for quite some time, and there are also players that I'm sure have had more than enough encounters together, but this is really, I think, going to be a defining set for them based on their performance here today, and whether or not they're going to either match up and outperform the combination between Hurriwind and Homiefe, or if they're just going to call it even.
And right now we're taking a look here at andinster. This is, again, one of the ones that you all voted to watch along with their POV cam. Remember, Homiefe is going to be the one that we look at for CLG, and then it's going to be andinster who we're going to be following along here for Space Station Gaming. So those links are down right below the video if you all want to see how these junglers are moving throughout the map. But you hit the nail on the head when you talked about how important Andy is to this roster. I mean, like I said, if there's going to be a jungler's meta, then what better time to bring andinster back? And he didn't miss a step. For a while there, he wasn't even playing jungle, but he looks like he never left.
It really doesn't even feel as though andinster was ever departed from the jungle. I mean, He probably feels like he betrayed the role to an extent after realizing how much he actually missed it. And I think that he is definitely a very talented mechanical player. He can break out just about anything, which is probably one of his main advantages here against Homiefe. Homie has tended to lean a little bit towards the picks such as the Camazotz, the Robins, and I think the occasional Thor as well seems to be one of his go-to comfort picks. But Andy just worked so incredibly well off of the rest of his team that I think that there's going to be a lot of opportunities here for him to really stand out.
Well, it's going to be a lot of opportunities for him to stand out. We are just about ready to get started here with Game 1 between Spacestation Gaming and CLG, currently at the top of your North American standings. And I was looking at it beforehand. Both of these two teams played against Trifecta already, and both found wins against them. And we saw just now how good Trifecta looked up against the world champion. So these are teams that didn't make it here by playing easy teams. We don't have any easy teams right now, Taco. They got to this 2-0 record the hard way, and we're about to see how they do it here in the picks and bans with Nemesis and Daji already taken off the board.
No such thing as a free dub in Season 5, not when it comes to the SPL, whether it's EU or NA. You can expect the best of the best out of these 6 teams. And for Spacestation Gaming, it's going to be the priority pick into the Camazotz. I love this selection choice because it not only provides a little bit of flexibility options between the solo laner, but you also have to count the fact that they're stripping this pick away from Homiefe.
Yeah, now they do have the Camazotz going in their favor, along with the Athena. So I like this. The Camazotz Athena with their 2 ultimate combinations can be very, very strong. They're also going to pair the Hobwall to go along with that as well. Thank you so much, Graham, for helping out.
It didn't work this time.
Thank you so much.
I wish it did. But
what's something else really scary? E United haven't won yet. That isn't scary to think about that? Yeah.
No.
All right. Well, that's okay, Taco. We're still going to make it through this one here together, working together. Janus and Soul picked up, so likely Soul going to be the ADC here, going over to Snoopy for CLG.
Timing is everything, and in this circumstance, it's not in my favor, but it might be working out for Space Station here. Didn't miss a beat, actually getting this Camazotz composition. I really like that they have the Athena to really round it all out as well, because that's going to provide a decent amount of peel between the Athena ultimate, the Athena taunts, and just in general, having that kind of global presence is always going to be a friendly reminder, but CLG making sure to match that with the Janus, a very smart choice.
They are going to be able to match that global pressure. I'm a little surprised, though, to see the Vamana pick coming out for them, along with Sobek. So they've got Vamana possibly going into the jungle for them here in this game. Vamana has not done particularly well, or not been particularly highly valued. So I'm very excited to see how this pick does.
Well, drafts have been rounded off for both of these teams, and honestly, I am so ready to just give it to the casters.
Yeah, no one's more ready than Taco right now to get into Game 1. But that's okay, Taco. I have so many things that I feel like saying about this roster, so I'm going to have you sweat it out a little bit longer right now here on the desk between these 2 compositions. Before we go over, though, do you have a pick here between these 2 rosters now that you've seen them?
I really like CLG's draft.
Really like CLG's draft. I like it, Taco. Thanks for squeezing that one out for me. Let's get it over to the casters to take away Game 1.
Thanks a lot, Finch. And yeah, I tried, guys. I was trying to help her out. It didn't work.
It's so kind of you. Really.
I mean, that's what people say.
That altruistic heart that you have definitely
Listen, when someone has hiccups, you either goggle watch. You can't do that on live air. But also, or she gets scared, so I tried to scare her.
Could have worked.
What else am I supposed to do?
I get hiccups sometimes, and I've never once been like scared out of them. You just kind of. I don't think that's actually true. I think that's an urban myth. I'm going to be honest with you. I don't think it works.
So who do you guys think in chat won that one? That's the big question. Now you guys at home can vote and see if you're right, because I'm pretty sure I've seen some odd votes so far today.
I mean, it's an odd draft so far from CLG. I mean, it's got to be Vamana jungle, right? I mean, they had a couple Guardians. No. Yeah, it's got to be. I mean, nothing else really fit in that role. I feel like it's going to be.
Do I just get sort of a jank cast now? Is that what's going to happen?
Yeah, I mean, it's Season 5, dude. Everything is at least a little bit jank these days, it feels like.
Well, let's just like a tie. Let's get into game and see how this one works out. Space Station versus CLGaming. Nice little look at these 2 teams who, honestly, for all intents and purposes, are pretty evenly matched.
I mean, they're the top 2 teams in the standings right now in North America, both sitting at 2-0, so excited to see how these 2 do against one another. It is the Vamana jungle here for Homiefe, and honestly,
with Blink,
I think it could be really good. Now, it doesn't bring. It does bring a little bit of CC, but it brings very little CC to any potential ganks. But the team fighting potential is there. Just getting Blink 2'd by Vamana, who's going to have a Heartseeker, it looks like, based on the Katana start for Homiefe. That's a ton of damage up front.
Wow, only 18% of you have faith in the Vamana jungle this game?
It's BaRRa and Jeff, dude. They could, I mean, it could be.
Is that what it is?
Yeah, I really feel like Space Station is going to win almost every vote for the rest of the year, just because it's BaRRa and Jeff.
We'll see. We'll see. Wait for the European games if they ever come up against
those.
Sure,
the regular season games.
Okay. We'll see how that
I'll
one
put the
happens.
asterisk on that.
One thing about the Vamana, though, thinking about it a little bit more, is against the Hebo, he blinks on you, hits you as you said. But then as soon as Hebo tries to walk away with his little wet paper maneuver, he's like, no, I'll just ult and chase you because CC immunity means I don't get slowed.
That's true. A sprint is going to be big, and Jigz already has one, though he hasn't done the upgraded sprint start. Neither has JeffHindla. A little bit surprised because I really feel like that it is really, really good in the early game to pick up that sprint upgrade. It ups your kill potential significantly and just lets you, give that mobility to escape or continue the chase and really get that first blood. Plus, 500 gold for 6% movement speed is such a bad deal anyways that it doesn't really miss out on too much. Now, it does slow down how fast you're going to build your boots, but I feel like it's worth it. I'd like to see Jigz pick up an early upgraded sprint, even without picking it up at level 1. That's going to be really critical for Homiefe.
It is a very situational decision to make that, though. Even though it's going to be effective later on in the game, you can forego it unless you think you're going to get a chance for a kill, which there would have been one there if he would have had upgraded sprint for sure to allow Snoopy to continue sustained range of that Athena.
Jeff had to use his own sprint, so it would have been pretty close either way, but that's just good damage there from CLG's duo lane, just kind of underestimating just how much damage that Cerberus is going to do during these early stages. And the more I think about it, the more I realize that maybe Homiefe is going to be going for a hastened katana with that start, but I really, really feel like the Heartseeker is going to end up being better. You allow Jigz to pick up the upgraded sprint. You yourself could pick up an upgraded sprint even, and that opens up the door for so much extra burst damage. The hastened katana start, I think, would be a little bit too slow here for Homiefe. No, I mean, he's going to be fast, but his damage will be slow,
First bit of invasion coming through here from andinster. Will steal 2 of the creeps, mainly the big one, which is the most important. However, he's going to take some poke for his troubles now, and Homiefe can give chase.
I think he's
still.
dead.
He's level 3, and Andy's caught between a crocodile, a rock, and a baby. And he's going to fall down. Homie gets credit for the kill.
Now, I didn't pay attention probably as much as I should have right there. Did andinster mess up the auto chain to allow the one little harpy to survive? Because that level 3 was grabbed by Homiefe by autoing down the 1 HP side harpy. If Homiefe doesn't hit 3 and andinster does, Andy is in the clear, good to go. But there, Homiefe grabs it, slows him down, knocks him up. By being level 3, he's got access to that dash.
Baby harpy, man.
One baby harpy. It's the babies conspiring together. That's what it really is.
They group up eventually, They'll take over the world. There's more of them than anybody else. It's like I'm blinking from Homiefe, but Homiefe knows he was around here, looking to steal this one away, knowing the abilities are on cooldown potentially, but does do his job and immediately dips out of town straight away. Is there a collapse opportunity? Maybe not, because the blink over the wall will get him back to safety, going towards his solo laner now to try and escape. andinster, welcome back to the jungle, friend. His speed buff still being stolen.
Against his old jungler, where he moved to mid to allow Homiefe to continue to jungle. Well, now Homie kind of showing him that he's still got the chops there. With the additional movement speed from the katana start, plus Vamana having such a high base movement speed, good luck trying to catch him there. Fine, able to secure his own blue buff with a nice sickle strike. It's really become a trend for CLG to continue to put fineokay on these Guardians in the solo lane. They seem to be okay with letting him relinquish pressure and just kind of hang out. And things like securing your own blue buff, even with the warrior bearing down on it, are very important to make sure that you can stay afloat in these laning phases.
And he definitely missed a window there in the jungle. He was headed towards those harpies, which he did steal away from Homiefe. But if you would have noticed, Homiefe's speed was up and Homie was out of mana there. He could have looked to go for the fight and trade out the speed buff that he lost earlier on. In the end, Homie gets both of those and now gets back to base to pick up Talaria boots. So looking for that extra mobility here.
Also, Andy started with the Morning Star. Normally, the heavy mace start costs an extra 50 gold, or even more gold than that. I believe it's 650 to 550 for the Morning Star, but you get that 5 extra power. Yeah, hindsight's 2020, but I wonder if Andy has 5 extra power if he secures those XP harpies on the back right side. This tells me andinster wants to pick up an early Transcendence, whereas most junglers are really prioritizing going for that Crusher first item. He could wait on picking up the Crusher or on the Transcendence, buy Crusher after the boots and then go back and finish the Transcendence. But either way, that starting power a little bit less than what we're used to seeing out of most Camazotz jungles.
Well, this CLG roster technically has more recent experience than that of the Spacestation roster. With andinster coming back into the jungle again and back towards his fellow teammates here, it's going to take a little bit of a warm-up overall, and CLG have a little bit more time together through last season.
Yeah, they do. I mean, they also kind of came together. They've played together just kind of like Spacestation has. These are teammates that have played together before but weren't playing together when we last saw them, basically. I mean, Jigz was on the Spacestation roster alongside Homiefe. Hurriwind, it was separate from them on the Trifecta roster. So, these guys have played together before. It's kind of two similar stories of old rosters coming together to try and return to glory, if you will. Now, the glory for the majority of these Spacestation members was a World Finals run, semifinals whenever Baskin joined. Either way, that old SOAR roster that CLG is kind of comprised of, once upon a time was the favorite in NA whenever they were together. Now, once Baskin left, it was a little bit of a different story, but still, this is going to be a team that I think kind of flew under the radar at first. It really shouldn't. These are star players all working together, and I really feel like they're one of the best teams in the world.
Both the solo laners have gone for teleport this game as well with their relic choices. So I think we saw a bit of a difference in terms of Europe. But Andy's going for a steal again on these camps. This time he's got a bit more support coming through from JeffHindla. Space and Time gets fired off by Hurriwind. A little bit worried about that gank. In the end, it all just peters out.
Couple global ultimates used there as insurance, basically. Jeff using the ultimate there, not to really go for a full-on gank, but to make sure that Andy doesn't get punished for that play, to try and secure him a little bit of farm. That's a fairly big swing in his favor if he's able to steal those away, and Jeff's ultimate being there is just enough to make sure that it doesn't go awry.
For those Harpies, though, is it really worth invading those Harpies all the time?
I wonder, I didn't notice if Jeff was sitting in base when that happened. Jeff might have been using that ultimate just to get, back on
That's
the map
fair,
at the same time, and, that's my best target, is to make sure that Andy's able to stay safe and steal those away. Exactly.
Well, left-hand side, bit of aggression going on here as Homiefe was trading out with Jeff. Now, Andinster is in a bit of a tricky position, but they're not going to all invest CLGaming. They want to take that purple buff on the left-hand side, and will do so. So, continuing to strip back some experiences. BaRRaCCuDDa now gets his blessing fully stacked.
I like this blink pickup from Homiefe, and I really the blink start has really grown on me for a lot of assassins, and a lot of it is because teams are drafting low CC compositions. I would describe CLGaming's composition as fairly low CC in the grand scheme of Smite, where you can really stack a ton of really potent CCs on top of one another. Spacestations has a good amount of crowd control for CLG to worry about, but you're not worried about it until the later stages. What I mean is the main source of crowd control is coming out of JeffHindla's taunt, but the real fear of taunt isn't Athena, it's the damage coming after it. And Baskin on the Habla, that's not going to ramp up until the later stages. BaRRaCCuDDa on the Hu Yi, that's not going to ramp up towards the later stages. So it allows Homie to go for the more aggressive blink in the early game. Now he could decide to pick up, whether it be a Purification Beads or a Magi's Blessing. He can get some sort of way to keep himself safe off that CC later on, but he doesn't really need it right now.
Speaking of Baskin as well, going for that sustain option in the early game, didn't go for the cooldown reduction from his Major's Blessing. He's actually gone for the full Bancroft's Talon now that's completed. Wants that extra sustain from the lifesteal more than anything else. I guess cooldown's not as important on Hebo just because his cooldowns are relatively low.
Exactly, and it kind of accelerates his clock. And as I was mentioning, you didn't have to worry about the damage off taunt too much. By this point, I mean, we're only 8 minutes in, but Baskin's got full Bancroft's Talon, full penetration boots. You have to be worried now if you're Homiefe, and that's much faster than if he would have gone for the Warlock staff start that a lot of Hopwads go for. Now we might see Baskin go for it. That's kind of a pro thing that's developing, is grab your power spike, make sure you can fight if necessary, and then slow it down and pick up the Warlock staff. For me, I really feel like Habwa is the all-in character. I'm either killing you or you're killing me.
Sure.
Warlock stuff doesn't really fit that mold. I'd like to see him go for something like a Typhon's Fang or a Spear of Desolation, something aggressive that'll keep this power spike going and not slow it down.
That Homiefe build, though, coming through here as well. Went for the Talaria, which gives you bonus movement speed throughout. Now, it used to be the old Talaria would actually just only proc when you're out of combat, but in combat, you're going to move a little bit quicker than everybody else, and now he's also picked up some extra mobility.
Yeah, so that Katana did ultimately turn into the Haste of Katana. And as I said, it's just a stylistic choice, and I'll be honest with you, Vamana Jungle is not something that I've taken for a spin too many times, but on paper, I think that just blinking in and using the really good assassin itemization like Crusher, like Heartseeker, and utilizing the very easy to confirm burst from Vamana could be enough to make it viable, but Homie's going the other route. He just wants to be the annoyance, the baby who's stuck on your back pocket. Exactly, and you really can't when he's gone for Talaria and Hasten Katana. Then you add in a sprint from Jigz, and there's no getting away, even for Baskin.
Well, Baskin now going to head round towards his red buff that's spawning up right now. Just that first kill so far going over to Homiefe from where andinster rotated into the jungle. Andinster himself, though, going for Transcendent, something we've seen a little bit more of this season, at least in terms of some of the assassins looking at picking it up.
Yeah, Spacestation kind of in two different frames of mind, it feels like. Baskin building to fight right now if necessary, and it does look like that could be a Soul Gem or a Typhon's Fang in that third item slot for him, so not going for that Warlock Staff start. Whereas andinster kind of wants to wait it out. Wait until he finishes Transcendence. That's a big enough power spike that you're willing to fight right there, but you still don't have any penetration. Now, with Jigz not going for Sovereignty early on, instead going for the Gauntlet of Thebes, lacking pen early on isn't that big of a deal. It just means that fineokay is pretty much unkillable, though he already was with the Sobek. This just tells me that andinster wants to hit, 13 minutes, and that's when everyone from Spacestation will be ready to fight.
Feels like a very European game so far, Aggro. Not much action going on whatsoever. Mainly, whenever we look at the camera of people getting close, it's at those right-hand harpies of CLGaming. Nothing else has really happened other than Homiefe stealing the speed after finding that kill.
Yeah, Spacestation seem to be really willing to play this game now, and that doesn't surprise me too much. I mean, Jeff and BaRRa in particular have always been real fans of studying why Europe is so successful. As Baskin gets blinked on around the back, comes fineokay, but misses the pluck. Baskin in a ton of trouble, but has to use the ultimate. Jeff's here with the sprint. That might be enough to get him out.
He will get out. Great sprint from JeffHindla actually to get him away. The speed
nice taunt.
Was actually defended by Baskin there, but Jeff manages to get a kill onto Hurriwind thanks to the taunt. 3v4 scenario here. Baskin does not have his ultimate available, but one knockup could spell problems for Homiefe, and there it was. But the knockup pushed him in the wrong direction. So now they will be able to escape. One quick kill, and it's Jeff that gets it.
Man, Homie is so fast. He was 1 HP, and andinster had the blink available, but Talaria boots and the Hazy Katana and the speed buff decides wisely to let it go. All in commit there onto Baskin. fineokay missing the pluck ends up being pretty impactful. I don't think Baskin had to use the purification beads in that engagement, so he probably would have been able to just beads that away, but at least you're getting some sort of relic in that situation. That's just good reaction time by JeffHindla to make sure that he can get there to support his mid laner. Sprint coming up big as well. And like we said, with all the movement speed in the world, it's still going to be difficult to catch that Hotwa in the mid lane.
Oh yeah, now you look at the composition coming through. I love what Jeff's doing here. Went for the Hot Ward Amulet, not messing around with the Sovereignty. Doesn't need to, because look at the composition they've drafted. The Janus, the Sobek, the Sol, the Cerberus, 4 magical characters on CLGaming means you want those magical defense auras.
And is Vamana the big damage dealer in the physical department that's going to make you worry? Probably not. The andinster needs to be worried here because Hurriwind is on the rotation, plucked back in.
No ultimate.
And he didn't have the ult, as you mentioned. That's a nice engagement there by CLG.
However, the response here as well on the left-hand side is Baskin will get a kill on Hurriwind, deletes him off the map. Homiefe tries to get involved, but Jeff's there again to say, no, big baby, not today. But look how hard Hotwa is swinging. Double kill for Baskin. Well, I guess that's one of the reasons why he's getting banned, right?
Yep, that's pretty much the entire reason he's getting banned. He doesn't do a whole lot in the early game, and then mid-game comes around.
This
it's
is
not even late game.
This is early game still, right?
13 minutes, that's mid-game.
But no one's done anything, so clearly it's still early.
No, that's not how that works.
When we see like 2 team fights.
Time ignores all things, Graham. It just keeps on going. It's gonna keep. It doesn't matter if you're AFK in base because your mom called you for dinner, or if the game is, is 30-30 at 8 minutes. That doesn't change the fact of where you are in the game.
I think it's more down to itemization more than anything else, and like how long the itemization takes, maybe.
You mean he's almost 3 items deep?
Once he's 3 items deep. 3 items deep is mid-game.
Oh, but it's a 2.5 hard early game.
Exactly. However, we are now in mid-game because
but
Aquarius...
andinster only has 2 items.
But it's the first person to hit that 3rd item, which was Aquarius.
Did he have it during that engagement?
No.
Was it already mid-game?
No.
Are you sure?
Certain.
Okay.
Guessing, but I'm certain.
Yeah, guessing.
I'm gambling.
You into gambling, man.
Gambler.
Ramping back up, are you?
I am. I'm getting there slowly. Slowly but surely. These are interesting casts in the evenings, I'll tell you that much.
We reach real high-res hours real fast
We
these
do.
days.
I've noticed. I didn't even try to do this one so far. 40 minutes in, 3-2 so far. Gold lead is ever so slightly in CLG's favor, even though they're down at that 1 kill. Nothing much to talk about in terms of that. It's mainly the builds that's the most interesting thing here, because every single game I've seen this season, everyone varies their builds. There's no certain cookie cutter build for anyone in any role.
That's those
Except
are beautiful
support.
words. Those are beautiful. No, supports aren't cookie cutter
Oh,
every
it
time.
is. Pick one of the 3 auras, GG.
All right, auras are good, and there's differences in building them in different spots. It's very important. min-maxing is great.
You're still going to build all 3 auras, though. Eventually.
Okay, you're still going to build... Okay, we're not going to devolve into
That's
that
not going into that. Golf
yeah.
started up by Spacestation here. Jig's the only one around. And then immediately Jeff goes in to get some burst damage up for Baskin. Follow up from BaRRaCCuDDa's
Nice
Ricochet. Not only did it kill him, it even hit Snoopy, who was like, hey, Jigz, you okay? Ow, what was that?
Oh, man, nice stuff there out of Spacestation. Perfect bait. Now Baskin going to blink forward. Has the ultimate available as well. No, he got him. But Hurry's got that extra movement speed. Sprint means the threshold isn't an issue. Jeff looking to reach down Hurriwind.
That tickled the hairs in his butt cheeks. That's what happened then, and it got him the kill.
Is that what it did?
It legitimately, look how close I was. I was like, no, that missed. I'm like, wait, what? How did that connect?
That's the Hevo, man. You just have to get splashed on. It doesn't have to actually get hit by the full wave, but if you're standing on the edge of the beach and you get a little bit wet from the wave coming in, that counts. That's damage.
That is damage. Man, imagine if waves did that to you. Homiefe ganking, though. BaRRaCCuDDa potentially here. BaRRa now aware of what's going on. Has to leap away, but Vamana don't care. He's going to go all the way in. But nice use of the Crow and the Suns to deny this. And now andinster's over here too. But Andy's like, well, I can't fight the baby just yet. Once Baskin turns up, though, Homiefe, goodbye. Overextended, look for a big kill on BaRRaCCuDDa. And you always know with Space Station, there's going to be an army coming to defend BaRRaCCuDDa.
Well, JeffHindla ultimate being down was kind of the go sign, I feel like, there for CLG to try and attempt that dive that you know that isn't coming through, but just not enough awareness of where everyone else is on the map. And that's really due to timers. That red buff just spawned, or was about to spawn, for Space Station. So, obviously, a level 16 Hoblaw who's destroying everybody already is going to want to go grab his red buff. Well, surprise, surprise, not only do you get a buff, you get a free Vamana kill on top of that. So Space Station now with the 4v5, going to try and pull this Gold Fury.
Well, they picked off Jigz last time they did this, and this time they're looking towards Snoopy. But meanwhile, Jigz dashed in, trying to get some aggression going, but gets out from the portal. Snoopy's still under pressure, though, and still no protection coming through. Ultimate from Baskin just a little bit off the mark that time round. Snoopy will live thanks to a fantastic little portal out from Hurriwind.
But BaRRa and Jeff going to start off that Gold Fury again because Andy and Baskin doing zoning duty. Homie has returned, though. Has the Thorns available now, picking up that at level 12. Snoopy under trouble in the mid lane. Aquarius didn't have Vault, or else that was a dead soul. But CLG still forced back, but...
Oh, Andy got a kill, and now the taunt just with the mob from Homiefe. Sorry, onto Homiefe there from JeffHindla. But Andy just catching a lazy back from Snoopy there between the Tier 1 and Tier 2 tower. Space Station just keep going to the Gold Fury, finding a kill. They're not actually doing the Gold Fury, they're just bringing Catalogic to them to pick them up.
But as you mentioned, they aren't actually doing the Gold Fury. So CLG, I mean, look, Season 5, you can take these deaths and really not be that far behind. It's 7-2. Space Station's been in control almost this entire game, despite CLG getting the first blood. But the gold's even. And the XP, not so even, specifically in the mid lane. Baskin's got a pretty substantial lead there over Hurriwind. But if CLG can allow Hurry to stay safe, pick up some farm, punish Baskin for being the aggressive Hoblaw, though I gotta say, I love this Void Stone in this 4th item slot. As you called, 4 magical damage dealers for CLG. Hoblaw's gonna be close enough that Pen Aura is gonna actually be relevant on him as well. Gives him some health, some power, some magical defense. Love this pickup for Baskin. Honestly, I wouldn't mind seeing some sort of pen option here in the 5th slot, and then maybe even a Stone of Fall to make sure that he doesn't get one-shot by Hurriwind's ultimate, or Snoopy, you know, doing extra damage to him in the late game.
But what is the pen option? What is the pen option you want to see here? Is it Spear, maybe?
Could be Spear of the Magus,
It's got
honestly.
a lot of pen on it. That's why I'm saying Spear. I mean, it's quite an expensive item to get. You've seen more Divine Runes from the Europeans mainly, but... I mean, there's a little bit of system.
No, I wouldn't go Desolation, because Desolation wouldn't be enough pen as Space Station grabs away the Gold Fury this time around without any sort of contest. I'm talking about Spear of the Magus. Now, he's not a traditional, dot character that can apply it very quickly, but Water Hands into Knock Up, into Water Hands, into Water Hands, into Ult, you're getting enough ticks that it's actually relevant, and it's cheap pen as well.
Andy was forced to ult there, a little bit worried, and goes all in on Snoopy on his own still, getting some support from around the corner, but his support is under trouble too. Jigz picks up andinster for free before anything could even happen. Jeff was coming in with the ultimate a little bit too late. Homiefe forced to ult, but he's on a zoning job. Now he's going to chase down BaRRaCCuDDa, who needs a lot of help on this backline, because this little baby will just keep running and running. Baskin, though, manages to pick up Hurriwind around the back. fineokay turns up to clean up the kill on BaRRaCCuDDa, and now Baskin's in a world of pain on his own. Nowhere to go except back to the fountain.
Andy and Jeff just on different pages there. Andy either thought that ultimate was coming way earlier than it did, or Jeff thought that Andy was getting out with his own ultimate. Jeff gets there, but far too late. Andinster tries to full commit to kill Snoopy, and it just ends up looking really sloppy. You can tell that these guys still aren't operating at full
Jeff's
capacity.
in trouble, dashes, but straight into the clutches of Homiefe waiting around the back. Jigz did a great job there. Very small, very minute. Just tanks the tower shot so that he doesn't have his carries take any sort of damage from that tier 2. So the tier 1 falls down there as the solo laners now transition towards mid to make sure they can stay involved.
But Snoopy's going to be able to
Tier
grab
2,
his tier
yeah.
2. Oh, no, teleport coming in from Aquarius. Certainly a good pickup against a Soul who can split push your brains out and basically win the game for her team, even if her team isn't starting to win the team fights, though. We just checked in last time with the kills. It was 7-2 in Spacestation's favor. Now 8-6, so quite a run for CLG.
And just look at that dip
Knots
back
it up,
again.
yeah.
Look at that dip back down. The Gold Fury goes down in the way of Space Station. Then straight away, all those kills, CLG pick them up, get a couple of shutdown bonuses for themselves, and jobs are good. And we're back to an even game at 20 minutes in. And now Aquarius is a little bit far up here, but it's only Sol. And obviously, Sol's going to be a bit respectful of the level 19 Hercules at this stage.
Especially with no penetration in that build quite yet for Snoopy. That's got to come a little bit further on down the line. Hurriwind looks like he's building towards that Magi's Blessing. He's finished off his CDR, doesn't need any more with the Mage's Blessing.
Magi's
the
Cloak,
Pendant.
by the way.
The Magi's Cloak,
That's
huh?
what it's called now. Did you
Really?
know that? Yeah, I think
The tier 3?
they've called it Magi's Cloak.
Why would they do that to us? It's been Magi's Blessing forever.
I know. I think it's because they put a Mage's Blessing in the game. And so now
Magi's, Mages. That's smart. Okay,
I didn't
that's
know.
a good call.
I only discovered that yesterday, and I was like, wait, have I been calling it wrong this whole time? No, they've changed it to Mage's Cloak, which is the same thing, however. Snoopy took a trade with Aquarius there, and it didn't work out for the better for him, as the rest of Space Station, though, did manage to secure that Pyromancer. But Hurriwind was looking for something, just farming, I guess, proxy farming. Yeah, why not?
Yeah, just making sure he can try and catch up to Baskin. Still working on that. Just making sure he can finish off his Mage's Cloak.
It's really weird. Told you, see?
Oh, no, Magi's Cloak. I still messed it up.
Yeah, Magi's
I
Cloak.
call it Mage's Cloak.
Because it's Mage's Blessing and Magi's Cloak. That was the thing. I still think it should be a blessing.
I want to own a cloak. Like, that just seems like a cool thing to own.
I wish you owned a decent tie. Jigz gets knocked up and then hit by the slow from the wet paper as well. But he will be able to leap back to safety for now.
You asked me to borrow a tie the other day.
That's true.
And you wore it and you said, this is nice.
It was a good time. But then today you came in and it looks like you have had something wrong with your chest all week and just coughed it up in front of you.
No, it's fun.
Listen, when we get back on the screen, the chat will see it and be like, you know what, Hindi, you're right. It does look like something that just came out.
It's crazy that poll was actually 50-50.
Well,
That's insane.
It's not true, though.
Why not?
Because if you look at where I've tweeted about that, it's actually 50 seconds left on the poll, which means you were going to lose. And
Or I was going to win.
You just screenshotted earlier, that's all. Like,
I could have absolutely won that poll.
what do you think about Soul Gem, by the way?
I think it's really, really good. I mean, this early on, it's a little bit weird because you're only getting 65 magical power. But, I mean, look at the stats. 65 magical power, 150 health, 12% magical lifesteal, 10% CDR. And, oh, yeah, the passive, which gives you an extra 40% scaling on your next ability. That hits everybody. It's not like the first person who gets hit by like something like a Soul Reaver. And you're healing your team in the area. It feels bad to pick it up third just because of the 65 power, but you're amplifying that every time you get the passive up and running. I think it's nearly core, if not absolutely core, on every single mage.
Definitely feeling that way. Baskin gets plugged, but the portal wasn't there for Hurriwind, and Hurriwind had to turn around and jump away from Aquarius that was coming in. His space and time fired over to the side, actually supports the rest of his team. BaRRaCCuDDa was being all in. The Athena ult comes out from JeffHindla, but Homiefe don't care. He's a big baby with nowhere else to go apart from into the back of BaRRaCCuDDa's head. Aquarius trying to pick up the kill on Homiefe with the support of andinster, and they will do so. Baskin still in amongst the mix, getting a bit of a heal from that soldier we were just talking about, but CLGaming have done what they wanted to. They find a pick.
Gonna get 1 for 1. Homie loses his life in exchange for BaRRaCCuDDa. That might honestly be in CLGaming's favor pretty heavily, just because Space Station is gonna have a much harder time pushing objectives, getting something like a Gold Fury on that back end. Aquarius still going forward, finds a taunt on a Snoopy, does JeffHindla. Snoopy wisely though, holding all his relics
nice
still.
Earthquake, a nice driving strike. Aquarius needs a couple more basics. The thorns are going to continue to tick just because the burn on the ground from the Disapparate was there. But the Disapparate came through in time to keep Snoopy alive.
Smart from both players. Aquarius stands on the trail, pops the thorns, knows it's going to deal damage to him. Snoopy realizes that he's going to deal damage to himself on the back end and has to use the Aegis. Aquarius playing really, really well in this one. Haven't really called his name a whole lot because he's been coming into these rotations a little bit later, as has fineokay.
Yeah.
But man, he's been really consistent with those pulls. I mean, this Hercules pick was one that really became big for North America towards the end of Season 4, and excited to see that it's still big in Season 5.
I mean, Hercules used to be really big from back in Season 1, the likes of Omega. It almost feels like now that Omega has officially retired and gone away, Aquarius has just taken up the mantle of the Hercules player from North America.
I don't know if you could say that because fineokay is Hercules.
That is also
true.
That is also true on that play. Space and Time fired off, didn't actually find the Gold Fury, but did put enough pressure to force out Spacestation Gaming. BaRRaCCuDDa forced to beads to make sure he didn't get hit by that ultimate coming out from Jigz there. And back into the fight they go for Baskin now, who's way out of position on his own. Doing the best he can to get as much damage off as he can. The Soul Gem helped out too. Still alive, but Hurriwind comes through.
Way.
No, the blink.
He blinked out of there.
No
that
way.
Soul Gem heal was
No way.
huge. Snoopy still here. Throws a little stellar burst towards JeffHindla.
Wait, Spacestation won that fight.
Spacestation won that fight, homie. I thought Baskin was dead to rights. That was a really nice play by fineokay. He pops the ultimate and then immediately dashes away. Kind of trying to hit Baskin, but mostly trying to get out of the way of that Habwa ultimate that was coming, because that would have been a big heal for Baskin off that damage. Gets out of the way of that, still in position to able to control him afterwards. Just unbelievable that he's able to escape the healing there between the Soul Gem and the Bancroft's talent enough to save his life.
And now with that one pick, Gold Fury is started by Spacestation Gaming. Nobody really around from CLG other than maybe Snoopy looking for a cheeky steal, but I don't think he can get in range in time, especially with Baskin turning up Space and Time, goes through, hits BaRRa, but that's all it is. Spacestation get the Gold Fury. Took a little bit more actually. BaRRaCCuDDa's build, I love it. Double stacking and then going for the Oddie bow this time round, so really power heavy.
Yeah, but no pen at all. And I really feel like that's kind of what hunters are best at right now, just building full penetration and softening up frontliners for their mages, aka what mages used to do for hunters in the past. The roles seems to have kind of swapped to me in damage dealing, especially something like Hu Yi, where you can really, lock down a frontliner fairly well and deal some pen damage. I get it, BaRRa's getting focused out pretty heavily. He's not going to be able to stay in an auto attack for very long. May as well make the auto attacks that I can hit, bounce to the back line and actually do some damage there. But I think I'd rather see him just go for the pen option and try and, burst down Homiefe while he's in the ultimate. With a chin size, it won't take long to really cut through Homie on this jungle of Vamana.
I know Magi's cloak for the Hunter here for BaRRaCCuDDa. Went for the Spirit Robe instead. Wants a little bit more protections here. Something unusual, a little bit of defense, not a cloak.
Guess it's for fineokay on the Sobek more than anything else, because nothing else really does a whole lot of CC. I mean, Jigz has that really long stun. That'll be helpful there. But stuff like the slows, it's not going to be nearly as impactful for, say, Homiefe or Snoopy. So it ends up being a pretty good purchase here, but I really feel like BaRRa needs a Titan's Bane in this last slot.
Is available. Now, 27 minutes in this game. Doesn't feel like it's been 27 minutes, though. I feel like it's only been 17. That's kind of how it feels, this one. It doesn't feel like it's gone as long as it has.
I feel like it's gone 18 minutes and 27 seconds.
Explain.
I don't know. Your example was just kind of specific. Like,
sorry, I was like,
normally, I thought we were going with the oddly specific time stamps.
No, we weren't.
I thought that's what we were doing. That's my fault.
No, I just mentally confused me and chat. We were like, "What are you talking about?" Like I was saying,
Yeah,
didn't feel like a 27.
Look, if I got worried about every time I confused chat or they didn't understand where I was going with something, I'd be worried all day long. It doesn't bother me anymore.
Jeff trying to protect BaRRaCCuDDa doing that Pyromancer, but BaRRa drops the Pyromancer when realistically it was at kill range for himself, but he didn't have enough trust in himself or Jeff to stay with it. Now though, it should go down. CLG have already surrendered it, thinking it was already dead, I guess. Backing away to make sure they don't fall badly in this engagement, but the engagement is still coming through. Space and Time didn't find a home.
Just barely missed, though. Baskin, no beads. Has to use the ultimate to try to get away, but it's right into the clutches of Homiefe, who's now beaten down Habwa. Now he's going to turn his attention towards BaRRaCCuDDa. Two kills go the way of CLG. Jeff finds a nice taunt, trying to buy time for Aquarius to get here, but andinster is doing his best as well.
I'm going to see Vamanas in every game at this rate. Homiefe blinks in towards andinster, looking for another kill and will find it. Jeff dashes through, but hits the wall, put down by Hurriwind on that Janus, and that's a deicide in favor. No, it's not DSI just yet because Aquarius is still here. My mistake. Of course,
Still
it's a
full
Hercules
HP.
that's left. But he's against a Cerberus here. The anti-heal is pretty impactful against the poor old Hercules. And one of the issues I think Herc may have problems this year, he's not going to get as much sustain against that Cerberus.
Oh, man, Aquarius
No,
still going for it,
no.
looking for Snoopy. Doesn't have the thorns this
Help
time
me.
around. That's got to do it, right? Okay, whew, that was
I'm down.
close. But look at how much time he just bought there. I mean, Baskin's up in 10. CLG's got time to just pull this objective right away and still be able to burn this. No way Baskin's able to get there in time, no matter how dramatic our camera angle is waiting for him to respawn. Even Hurriwind's going to help out with a little through space and time damage.
Hey, don't disrespect the Peckies on the camera today. Fire Giant will indeed go to CLGaming. And what a big swing this game's got, because I feel a lot of this has come down to this Andinster's, sorry, to Homiefe's Vamana.
It really has been. And Snoopy's soul. Snoopy's soul has been really, really impactful in this game. Only middling in the damage charts, but look at where his damage is in comparison to BaRRaCCuDDa. I don't know if it's the build, the composition, or whatever it is, but BaRRa has just not been impactful at all in this game, and that's kind of been a theme so far for Spacestation. Their games have really been run around Baskin and andinster in the mid and jungle. Andy's kind of struggled so far this game as well. Again,
Isn't that the meta, though? I mean,
It
the
is.
meta seems to be mid-jungle be the focus point.
it is the meta, but we have seen hunters, whether it is, the magical ADCs, sure, they're ones making the bigger impact. Snoopy's playing the magical ADC, so you expect them to have the slightly bigger impact for sure. But, I mean, look at what PandaCat did last set on the Uller.
That's true.
We have seen hunters have big performances on physical hunters, whether they're getting the kills or not. Putting out the poke damage and shredding down the frontliners. There have been hunters who have been very effective at that so far in Season 5. Are the hunters the star of the show anymore? No. And, cry me a river, that's fine. It's just time for hunters to kind of take a step back, it feels like. But some hunters are having a little bit more trouble with that than others, and it seems like BaRRa is one of those who's having a little bit of trouble.
BaRRaCCuDDa now going for the Titan's Bane as his final item here. So he will have some penetration in this build towards the end, after having a bit of a troublesome time here. Both these teams undefeated in the Pro League so far. Both played 2 sets each, and coming up against each other will give us an actual overall leader of the SPL for the first time this season, with them both facing off here.
No real surprise to see these two teams near the top of the standings either. I mean, CLG, everyone was talking about Spacestation and United coming into this year, and deservedly so. But like I said, this squad is one that I don't know how you look down this roster and say, yeah, this team can't compete at a world's level. These guys are hyper talented. No surprise for me that they're near the top.
Tier 2 tower going down in mid. No contest from Spacestation Gaming here. They're happy to wait at the Phoenixes here. Something that United didn't do last time around. They tried to defend it at Tier 2, and it cost them, well, part of the reason they probably lost that game. Round to the right side goes CLG. No real mistakes. They don't want the Phoenixes yet, aggro. They just want these Tier 2s.
I mean, they've got time if they want to get these Tier 2s and then go for the Phoenixes to really pick that up. I mean, they've still got a minute and a half left on this Fire Giant buff. Plus, this is pushing their waves all in near simultaneously. And mostly full build here as well. It's really only Jigz who's waiting on his 6th item. So everyone on CLG does decide to back, should be able to upgrade their relics, pick up some power potions, really finish off everything they need to spend their gold on. And then honestly, I wouldn't mind seeing them start to push these waves in and maybe try for one quick attempt at a Phoenix push, and if that doesn't go well, just fall back and go for the Pyromancer.
So what's the call of your Space Station here? Because your defense on Phoenixes isn't the greatest. I'm not going to lie, like wave clear, you've got BaRRaCCuDDa. Baskin's not really going to get in that much range to be able to clear the wave effectively. What do you do? Do you engage before they get on the Phoenix? Do you wait for them to start the Phoenix? Like, what is it?
I don't mind them waiting to start the Phoenix, even though Soul is on the other side, and it's going to be really easy for Snoopy to burst these structures down. I feel like if JeffHindla or Aquarius is able to go in and pop that Magi's cloak off of Hurriwind, get the bubble off of him, and then allows Baskin to blink forward, knock up ult. If you can delete either Snoopy or Hurriwind, or honestly even Homiefe, though now with the Mantle of Discord and the Pestilence, it's going to be much harder to do that. I love this build actually from Homie now that it's complete. Finishing off the boots and selling it for the Atalanta's bow. This Atalanta's bow is insane. I don't know how anyone can look at this item and see 30 physical power, 30% attack speed, and a ton of movement speed. 28% movement speed for 7 seconds. If you just auto-attack something 4 times and say that this item isn't good. That is insane stats. Homie's going to be fast as all hell. It's going to be impossible to catch up with him. He's got crazy attack speed. It does plenty of damage as well. I love this build.
It's not just Rat with no boots anymore. It's Vamana with no boots. Yes, chat, you can spam that to your heart's content. Because with a speed buff, you can see how quick he was moving there up against Snoopy. Way, way, way ahead of the pack.
I just don't understand why we are okay with the Rat no boots. I just never, I don't know. Maybe I'm too old. Maybe I'm just a curmudgeon-y old man.
Yeah, you are. The years have hit you hard while you've been working here.
They really have.
They have. I mean, I saw the young little happy aggro that first walked through those doors, and now you're deranged.
What do you mean? I am happy. Look at my tie. It says I'm happy.
Oh, it looks like you're sick. Oh, Boots! I just got chat all timed out. I think because I said Boots is bad. Boots is banned in chat supposedly.
Typical evil mastermind Hindu man actually baits all of you
calculated
into getting yourselves timed out, outplayed and outsmarted once more, chat.
But Rat isn't banned in chat. Oh, Vamana. 12. Vamana no shoes. There you go, chat. I'll help you out. 12 to 10. Second fire giant. The game started up here.
Who has to ban shoes? What if someone wants to come in and just start
CLG.
talking about their shoes they got?
Who would want to talk about the shoes?
You don't get a new pair of shoes and you're excited about it and want to tell people?
I wouldn't go into Mixer chat to do that. I'd rather go in Mixer chat going, why has Homiefe got no shoes? That's the only time. I'm going to use the word shoes.
You could say shoes because you're a mod, but that's just abusing your powers.
Slippers, shoes, clogs. Thinking of all the different types of sneakers. Pumps.
Hard socks?
Hard socks. Hard socks. I can see you going home and asking your girlfriend, hey, have you seen my hard socks anywhere? That doesn't sound pretty, actually. That sounds disgusting thinking about it even more. Especially for you. So,
what is that supposed to mean?
We're waiting for CLG now to actually make this next assault on the Phoenixes, because that's all it is now, isn't it? Fire Giant, no contest from Space Station. They're still under the Phoenix of the Rat a few moments ago. Nothing's going to happen until CLG push out these waves. And with the comp they've got a lot of opportunity to switch this around. Janus can be on one side of the map, clearing the wave, and then group up with the rest of his team if required. Not this time, though. They're all on the left so far.
I'd like to see someone from CLG, it's going to be Homiefe with the extra movement speed, go and clear out these minion waves and make sure that they're pushing simultaneously. It puts so much extra pressure. It allows you to waterfall your team fight victories very nicely from lane to lane. And it's just overall good practices whenever you're pushing a Phoenix.
And Genji's guard there finally picked up by Aquarius too. Something that's pretty underrated. He's very good against magical heavy comps, and that's exactly what he's against here. Top from Jeff, though, but a great tail whip from fineokay cancels that one out. That's what was Jeff's big play there, trying to find a pick before this, but now that's on cooldown. The dashes, at least, he's going to manually taunt and only get the tanks.
But two-man knock-up there. BaRRaCCuDDa doing a little bit of damage to Fine, but he's hitting him for 135.
Aquarius is around the back, however, and that's forced out the carries for a second. Snoopy forced to beads there defensively away and also use the disapparate. Hurriwind has to pull through the wall. Nicely done from him as Jigz was giving him a bit of peel. He'll leap back towards safety too. Aquarius still leading on the charge. Grabs Jigz again. This Jigz is the focus point for the time being. Baskin investing quite a bit of damage into him. CLG just trying to regroup, trying to resustain, trying to make sure that if Space Station overextend, they can go back in.
But they have to be careful here. There's a 4v5. BaRRa went back to base because he got poked out. Baskin going to try and pick up this red buff, and I love this because this could give Baskin a really good opportunity to come into this fight and find a big flank, but fineokay is going to be able to spot him out on the Sobek, so that chance now gone.
I like what fineokay did there as well. He blinked over the wall. He was looking for a cheeky one onto Baskin, see if Baskin didn't know it was coming. Unfortunately, wasn't around. But once again, they all group up. This time round, Aquarius can't swing around the back. There's a sentry ward keeping the eye out for CLG. And if andinster goes around there, Homiefe will be waiting.
The big one is that Snoopy's beads are down. Beads down on an andinster, but he still got his ultimate. He still got the leap to try and keep himself safe. One taunt from JeffHindla onto Snoopy should be a blink ult from Baskin immediately.
Jigz the easiest one to get picked, and Jigz won't mind that because it means they're invested into him and not the rest of his team. Andy comes around the pack looking towards Hurriwind, who takes a little bit of poke damage but has to retreat as CLG fall back.
Yeah, Snoopy was able to stay out of range of that taunt there, but Jigz took a little bit of poke, and it's not enough Phoenix focus from CLG, though. In their defense, how do you focus it when you've got that many members of Space Station grouped up and trying to force you off?
I guess the other thing is, well, what is CLG's real engage under the Phoenix anyway? It's blinking, I guess, from Jigz or a pluck, right?
Pluck. I'd really like to see CLG wait for JeffHindla to dash forward, then just like fineokay was able to tail whip that taunt away, but this time pluck him back, really separate him from the rest of his team and try and blow him up there. The problem is that you don't have any, hunter that's going to do that for you. Your magical damage dealer in the soul, look at how much magical defense JeffHindla has. Heartward, Pestilence,
Space Station.
I like this.
Little cheekiness here. Obviously, everyone's on the CLG is probably going to think they're in base still here, so they're trying to find a pick on the next Pyromancer or Fire Giant. The question is who comes through first? fineokay, though, seems to have sniffed this out.
Patience. That's just good discipline. No, that's just good discipline from fineokay to not extend too far forward without his team. Now they could be coming.
This got smelt. This got smelled badly in the couch from both sides. In goes Jeff, Jigz, and fineokay going Homiefe was swinging around the back. Aquarius.
Oh, no.
Hurriwind just cuts the odds, and that was BaRRaCCuDDa removed from the map. Baskin now in trouble too, running for his life as fineokay comes into the back line to make sure he can't get away. Andinster trying to take down this Janus. Great driving strike follow-up from Aquarius, but the Aegis kept him alive long enough, and he's still trying to give chase. And the boulder over the wall. Hercules. Swing.
I think that counts as a home run. Andinster is going to fall here to the pressure from Jigz and Homiefe. A little bit of bad luck, but really just a good play from Hurriwind to find BaRRaCCuDDa through that wall. That's the problem with that sort of idea against CLG's composition. If you don't kill someone right away, you know that everyone from CLG is coming through a portal and coming for you. And you're grouped up in a little choke point there where it's even easier for Hurriwind to hit that ultimate. It's a risk-reward situation. Spacestation has kind of been on the back foot for a while now, probably felt like it was up to them to make a game-changing play. They go for it, but ultimately ends up making them lose the game.
I do like that call, though. I think the call was great, but I do believe CLG noticed it. They spotted that out. The way they played that fight, there's no way fineokay doesn't just wander up going, like, nothing's wrong, there's no one hit. They knew. They knew. And CLG win the game.
fineokay not walking up and going do right there is what you should be doing at a competitive level. Is not extending too far from your team, going to ward by yourself.
I mean,
those are
Sobek,
those are the signs of a good player that isn't going to extend too far. It's just that we're so used to seeing what we see.
Do me a favor after this set, when you watch this one, back 3 years and let us know exactly what you did. Did you know they were there? If you didn't, then I will give you all the credit in the world.
We should make a mixer poll.
Mixer poll.
fineokay knew.
That's a good mixer poll, actually, instead of MVP. Actually, but we should do the MVP.
We should do the
first
MVP.
of all.
Yeah.
Who do you guys think was MVP in that set? For me, I don't know. Homiefe?
Homie played well. Jigz played well.
Solid performance all around. Really.
Yeah, it was kind of a team effort there. I know that's a cop out. I get it, but like that kind of there wasn't really any standout player. Honestly, if I had to give it to anyone, because I'm super biased, probably give it to Hurriwind because he deletes BaRRaCCuDDa off the last team fight, and that's what starts it going in CLG's favor.
That's game 1. Game 2 right around the corner. But first of all, it's time to head over to Finch and the hiccuping taco.
Thank you, Graham. Thank you, Ryan. Finch is here to talk with you about Game 1, and hopefully Taco has recovered. Taco, are you back with us?
Oh, I'm definitely recovered, but can't say the same for Spacestation. They actually did encounter a few hiccups throughout that first game, and rather unlucky. I think that Baskin got off to a very great start.
Yeah, he did.
He was clearly having a ton of pressure and a lot of dominance in that mid lane. Got off with the 4-0, I believe, and the same could be said for all of Spacestation, actually. It really seemed as though they were working as a whole unit. They were actually leading 7-2 in kills, and then it just kind of got turned around entirely. Homiefe started getting online with this Vamana build, and he was all over the place with this baby. And even though Baskin was able to punish him during the earlier stages, it just wasn't able to transition through during the mid to late. As soon as the entirety of CLG started grouping up, it made things really difficult for any singular member of Spacestation to have any kind of serious impact.
Well, the polls just came through, and Ryan is wrong again. This time it's Homiefe who's going to be the MVP. Chat, I think you all called this one correctly, Taco. You're so right. Vamana, or rather Homie on this Vamana pick was all over the map. 7, 4, and 8, 21,000 player damage that he was able to do. And being able to have such a big impact with this big baby ultimate, I mean, being able to chase down, I mean, where are you supposed to go when he's barreling down on you like this?
This whole game was just BaRRa's worst nightmare combined into one. A ton of pressure gods that are great for chasing and diving against a Hui without any CC immunity. Homiefe picked up the Thorns for good measure as well, so he was more than happy to absorb the Sun's damage. In fact, he welcomed it. That's exactly what he wanted to happen. Anytime you see a jungle Vamana electing for the the Talaria boots and the Hasten Katana, he has one theme in mind, and that is run you down until the end of the world. And there wasn't any amount of peel, I think, that could have successfully kept BaRRaCCuDDa alive in that game.
No, there really just wasn't going to be enough that could help him out there. I mean, we talked about it a little bit before, but even in the sets where they're winning the Space Station roster, it hasn't been through BaRRa as much as it has been in the past. It's really felt like it's been this Baskin and andinster combination for them that's been successful in the victories that they have gotten so far, which is all of them, by the way. They're 2-0. They have not lost a set yet, but now I want to ask you, do you think that Baskin and andinster, can they turn this around here in Game 2?
I think that there's a possibility for them to turn it around, although it's a pretty rough match to take an L2, considering how strong Space Station actually looked at the start of it. It just felt as though they weren't as on point as it felt like CLG was. I think there was a little bit more clear communication as far as what CLG was trying to accomplish in that match, which is one of the primary reasons why CLG was able to have a little bit more of an impact during those team fighting periods.
Yeah. And speaking of that clear communication, I mean, that last play at the end by Space Station, I mean, that kind of felt like what really sealed it. I mean, yes, CLG had the lead at that point and were working on the siege, but Space Station kind of grouped up and it felt like they were looking for a pick, like they were trying to catch CLG off guard, and it just didn't go their way.
I don't fault Space Station for trying to take the initiative there, though. I think that sometimes it's just a risk. You know that you're not going to be able to hold them all successfully underneath your Phoenixes. It was a strategical plan, I want to say, out of Space Station. It just didn't get to work out. I mean, sometimes that's just what happens in competitive play. You go for the big play because at this level, you don't really have many opportunities, and so sometimes you just have to create them yourself. That felt like, to me, what Space Station was trying to do.
Yeah.
It just didn't work out for them this time around. They do have enough talent, I think, still across their roster to bring this one back, but I think that I want to see them focusing entirely on their mid-jungle solo aspects.
Yeah.
In Season 5, the meta just has not really been favoring physical hunters in particular. It's been really difficult, and I know that people are going to talk about BaRRaCCuDDa all day long, but there is only so much that he can actually do in the hunter role, and I think that's one thing that his team is kind of forgetting about. It feels like they're just spending too much time trying to keep BaRRa alive, and sometimes you just gotta let him go.
Well, we'll